All right, everybody, I am back with a brand new DC update. And this will probably be another short video like yesterday because it all revolves around the casting of David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan as Clark Kent, Superman, and Lois Lane. And these are going to be kind of my thoughts on it because the one thing I did not address in yesterday's video on my exact feelings on the casting. And again, the comments got pretty crazy. Not once did I make fun of either David or Rachel. So if you're going to come at me with derogatory comments about the way I look or the comments I made or start calling me names, you will be banned. I'm just telling you right now, I'm not going to put up with it. And I did have to go through and weed through some people after yesterday's post. So you can know that I will not put up with that garbage. It's not going to be on my feed. I also had one particular individual who claims to be a lawyer. I think he's a financial lawyer, not a regular lawyer, just a financial lawyer. But he comes in and just makes comments all the time. He criticizes me for everything. More power to him. He at least keeps it civil. But in the last video, I said, between Bill and Alexander Skarsgård, that I may have had him mixed up, but he comes in and still makes fun of me for not getting them right. I already admitted that in the video. It's a pretty petty thing to have a critique on. But people will be people. They'll find anything they can to put other people down. Now, a lot of people will come at me and say, well, you're always putting James Gunn down. Well, yes, as a director and as a studio head, I have absolutely every right to do that because he has driven DC into the ground. He has ruined these last 4 films. He's ruined their success. And I just don't see his stuff ever getting off the ground. I don't know who's going to invest the money for them to even make this Superman film that is coming. But let's look at a couple of the photos that I grabbed that are going to explain my feelings on this. And then we're going to talk about just a few things in regards to their casting. So this was the first photo that I grabbed that I think is a very good explanation as to what's going on. They're equating Henry Cavill with the PlayStation 5 and with David Corenswet as this knockoff. Dollar store, cheap, the CW version of Superman. Which I think this is an accurate description. It's the cheap version. He's almost an exact lookalike of Henry Cavill, but just younger. The next photo I grabbed is they're saying there's a ton of backlash on Corenswet, the casting, that fans demand Henry Cavill's return. You think? You think after they announced he was back after Black Adam that people weren't going to have backlash? That is to be expected and is extremely warranted. Now, this perfectly sums up my feelings here, our movie news. So somebody posted, if you're not watching Superman Legacy because Henry Cavill isn't in it, you are not a Superman fan. You are a Henry Cavill fan. Our movie news said, I 100% disagree, and I totally agree with our movie news here. Fans have very good reason to be upset with Cavill not returning. He confirmed he was back for more. You got to realize that we all can connect to different heroes by different actors. I and many others connected to Cavill's Superman. His Superman was our favorite. Bingo. It doesn't make us any less of a DC fan. It doesn't make us any less of a Superman fan. I'm just not interested in what Gunn is peddling when we already had a perfectly cast Superman. People fail to realize, and I kind of have a hope. Now, what I'm about to say is outside my character, but I'm almost hoping this does happen. I kind of hope that we get 2 or 3 projects from James Gunn's universe, and that then Warner Brothers and the whole DC franchise, the IP, gets sold, and we never see the light of day of the rest of it. So you guys will know what it feels like, all of you who champion Gunn, who bowed out a Gunn. So you'll know what it's like to not get the rest of the story. Just because somebody liked the DCU does not make them a Snyder cultist. There was nothing wrong with the DCU. If the studio would have just gone through with their original plan, we would not be where we are today. It's because of the studio's meddling. And for people to wish to see the rest of that doesn't make you a Snyder fan. It makes you a DCEU fan. And I am not going to let that go. So if you think I'm going to be changing my tune and all of a sudden jump on board with Gunn, you're in the wrong place. And your nasty comments are not going to be accepted. So you could take it somewhere else. Now, does that mean I'm going to crap on the movie? If the movie's good, I'm going to admit it. If it's amazing, I'm going to admit it. So let's talk about my exact feelings on the casting. First, on the surface, you have to understand, I think it's completely unnecessary to recast these characters. I think it's sick and disgusting that James Gunn is going to keep Amanda Waller and Peacemaker and some of the other characters, but get rid of others. Again, it's the cheap version of the DC universe. So on the surface, those are my initial feelings. Now, for them specifically, I think that David Corenswet is a dead ringer for Henry Cavill, just younger. To me, he does not look like a man. And I'm not talking about how bulky he is. I'm talking about the look of his face and the way he looks. He looks like a boy. If he was going to play Superboy, fine. Superman, why not Cavill? It's ridiculous. Now, I've watched a couple interviews to find out who he is, and he actually has a good voice. I'm sure he will bulk up. And if they don't make him bulk up and they keep him the way he is, kind of like what they did with, Pattinson with Batman, that's going to be a problem. Right there, that's going to be a problem. But from what I understand, he's an amazing actor. I've never seen him in anything. So I'm not knocking his acting ability or the way he looks. I'm just saying he looks like a boy. But he's just a younger version of Henry Cavill. So he could fit the role if they bulk him up. Now, Rachel Brosnahan, on the other hand, I think she's probably the best casting we've had for a Lois yet. In every iteration that I've had for Lois in my lifetime, I think she's the one that probably fits what I think of when I see Lois in a comic book more than any of the others. Margot Kidder was pretty good, but I think she was kind of small. I envision, Lois being a little taller. The girl in Superman and Lois, I think, would be my second favorite, but she's very skinny. She looks anorexic. And everyone else, comes, beyond that. So I think she's got a great look. I think one of the worst was, I forget her name, using the girl from Superman Returns. She looked nothing like Lois to me. I think she was one of the worst casting I've seen in a DC movie. Kate something. I can't remember her last name. But so do I hate the casting? No, I don't hate the casting. I don't think they're ugly people. I don't make fun of their appearance in any way, shape, or form. I just don't see the need to go down this road. It's unnecessary. We already had a great cast. You just build on that. And so for them to hire him, but get rid of Henry Cavill, yeah, especially when they look the way they do, almost identical. Just, again, he looks like a boy, not a man. Outside of that, yeah. So I don't hate the casting. Now, there's going to be more information coming out because they did say that Bill Skarsgård and Alexander Skarsgård are in the running for Lex. I personally, I could see either one of them playing that character extremely well. I really liked Bill Skarsgård's character in John Wick 4. I think he was pretty menacing. But I do see Alexander Skarsgård being the one that will probably get the role, and I think he has more of a look of what I would envision Lex being. And, he's an incredible actor himself. I just watched him in the last couple of seasons of Succession, and he was pretty amazing with his acting ability. And, I saw him as Tarzan. So I think either one of those guys could pull this off. I would personally rather see Alexander Skarsgård in that role. So we'll see what happens going forward. They are actively doing this, and I guarantee you they are going to be releasing more information as they want to move away from the DCU, which is going to make it interesting when they're trying to promote, Blue Beetle and especially Aquaman 2. especially after the comments of James Wan in regards to that movie. So there's good and bad to look forward to in the near future. I am just hoping that things get bad enough that they do have to sell to somebody who actually cares about these characters. I've seen enough of Gunn's stuff, and people say he hasn't done anything yet. I've already seen Peacemaker. I've already seen the Suicide Squad. That's not what I want for the DC Universe, especially when he's keeping characters from both of those franchises. That's not what I want my DC to be. I want my DC to be taken more seriously. And we'll see. His Superman Legacy film, if it ever gets made, is going to be very telling. All right, so there's my update for DC for the day. I do appreciate the support. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and you will be notified as I have new videos go up.